Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you and to talk about Mission Impossible Fallout. You introduced the film yesterday with a huge testament to Tom Cruise's dedication to his stunts and to his craft. Does he ever cease to impress you with what he can do and what he's prepared to do?
Never. I'm constantly amazed, and the fact that I've been working with him for as long as I have, you're accustomed to seeing people get a little older and get a little slower, and I've only watched him gain in speed. Yeah, he gets faster and he gets stronger and he works harder.
Does that mean that you have to be all the more imaginative all the time as to how choreographed the stunts have to be? Do you have to, top yourself up all the time because he's so enthusiastic about it?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is where to put the camera, because Tom is doing it. If it was a stuntman, it would be a lot easier for me to sit back and just watch the stunt happen. And so it's always a challenge to find places to put the camera and to always make it feel like what's happening, that you're there. That's tricky.
So everyone was talking about his incident on the set in this one. How did that change the whole shooting process? Because it was so unexpected.
Well, it actually turned out to be a huge benefit. We were figuring out the movie as we went, and that's what happens because these movies they start with a release date, and you're always racing against time. And when Tom broke his ankle, the whole movie shut down, and we immediately went into the editing room. We started cutting the footage that we had so that we would be that much more ahead when the movie finished. And when you're making a movie, you discover the movie you're making in the editing room. Whatever it was you intended to do, it always turns out to be something else. So I had the rare opportunity to see the movie I was making while I was making it, and allowed me to make a lot of changes. So it worked out very well.
You have so many locations in this one. Is it the right impression to think that it's more than any Mission Impossible film, or is it always that diverse?
I think in Rogue Nation we had a lot of locations, or at least there were the real locations, and then there were the pretend locations. Yes. I think it went through 6 or 7 location changes in the first 15 minutes. I wanted this movie to feel like 3 distinct locations, and so we spent a lot more time in Paris, a lot more time in London, and a lot more time in New Zealand.
Structurally, when you have the biggest movie star in the world in the middle of Paris shooting stunts, how does that change the dynamic of that street? How manageable or unmanageable is it?
Well, thanks to the city of Paris, it was very manageable. They were really kind to us. They really cooperated with us and helped us as much as we could, as much as they could. And we did everything we could to be as not disturbing as possible. We shot a lot on Sundays, and we did everything to kind of stay out of the way. But to have a street closed off like that, the Rue de Opera that was completely deserted, and I could stand in the middle of the street, but at the far end of the street, all the people who came out to see Tom, it was really wonderful.
Do you take personal pictures of things like that are not going to go on social media?
Oh, yes. No, I think if you go look on my Instagram, you'll see a picture of me standing on Rue de Opera when it's completely deserted. It was just a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Exactly. Everything you do with Tom Cruise is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience.
Yes.
I mean, you've worked with him so many times, not only as a director, but also as a writer. So are you able to gauge what makes his success enduring? Because it's not only being successful in Hollywood, it's also maintaining it for as long as he has.
Yeah, well, Tom, first and foremost, cares about the audience and the audience having a good time. And he's always focused entirely on story and storytelling. Yeah. And I think that's a big reason why his films continue to work. It's the dedication he has and the time he spends just trying to make it the most entertaining story that he can.
No, absolutely. What are you most excited for audiences to find out in this one? Because it keeps like reinventing itself, Mission Impossible.
Yes.
It's never really the same.
Yeah, I'm excited for audiences to experience the emotion of this one. It really worked out better than I ever could have imagined in terms of the team and also Ethan, the emotional journey that the movie takes you on.
Let's talk about the all-star cast and having Alec in this one and someone as iconic as Angela Bassett and Vanessa Kirby, and it's kind of very diversified and quite interesting.
Yeah, we're very blessed. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches. It's an absolutely fantastic cast. Obviously, all the returning actors, Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg and Rebecca, Alec Baldwin. Sean Harris coming back from the last film, but then also all of the new characters, Vanessa Kirby, Angela Bassett, Henry Cavill, who's extraordinary in the movie, and all the women that we have in the movie. It was a very different change from the last film, where it was a lot of men around Rebecca, and now it's a much more evenly balanced cast. It's been really great.
Yeah, and this will make all types of audiences interested in the story. And this is not a film that only caters the lovers of action films.
I hope so. Yes,
a lot to enjoy.
Yes, I wanted to make a movie that didn't rely on the action to entertain you.
How important are the, deeper messages of films like that? For instance, plutonium around the world being, falling in the wrong hands. I mean, there's, of course, the entertainment element, but there's also something to say.
Well, what I like to do is, I grew up during the Cold War, and the Cold War, when you went to see a movie like The Hunt for Red October, there was a real-world element to that story that you were aware of, and it heightened your experience of the movie. So we're always looking for ways to walk that line where you feel some sense of what's going on in the real world without the movie becoming political, and you want the movie to be timeless. You want the story to exist beyond just the contemporary. And
is it true that in your family there are people that can advise you on things like that?
In
your family, I think your brother is...
yes, my brother is a former Navy SEAL. He's actually a technical advisor in the film, and he trained a lot of the actors in weapons and in combat.
And my last one is about Tom Cruise. I interviewed Henry, and he said that he wanted to jump on helicopters now and then have a motorcycle training and all these things. And I was like, is it because Tom is so infectious in his love of those adrenaline rush kind of sports?
I think so, yes. You definitely... I mean, I wanted to jump out of that plane. That looked like a lot of fun. They wouldn't let me do it. But I would have done it. And I would not have done it before.
Yeah.
It was only when we went there and I learned about the whole process that I said, okay, yeah, now I would do this. I thought it was crazy before that. And that's true. You walk away from these experiences looking back on what you did and thinking, I never would have done that if work hadn't demanded that I do it.
Do you ever try to restrain him anymore, or there's no point whatsoever?
No, I don't bother doing that at all. It's truly we have such a shorthand now that even when we don't necessarily get what the other person is doing, we just go with it because we know one of two things is going to happen. It's going to work, or the other person is going to say, this doesn't work, and we'll take it out. There's no pride of authorship. We're just really there to make the best movie we can.